Oh, y'all, it's 5:21 in the morning, and I'm up early because I got to knock these videos out, and I got a lot to do. But something's been on my mind for the last 2 days, and it's a conversation that I had with the bar owner down to the bar where the Honda cars be, and it left me wondering, why is it that people are so concerned with things that don't affect them either directly or semi-indirectly? He loves to talk politics. I try not to talk politics. For one, I'm not the most politically astute, and for two, when I'm drunk, anything is liable to come out of my damn mouth. Nevertheless, we talk politics from time to time, and he was talking about how he isn't a Republican or a Democrat, and how he can go both ways. He likes things from both sides of the party. And I think most people are like that, but if I had to peg him, he's more Republican than Democrat. Neither here nor there. As it relates to where we are right now, he said politically there's only two things he's concerned about. He said security and jobs. And I said, when it comes to security, are you talking about border security? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, why are you concerned about it? And he said, basically because, you know, there are a lot of bad people that come into the country. And I said, well, are you concerned that these bad people are going to do you or people you know some bodily harm? And he was like, yeah, maybe. And then, you know, he backed up a little bit and he said, now, don't get me wrong, I do believe that most of them are good. He was like, you know, but there is that 5% that come in that are bad. And so I said to him, we're going to call him Mike for the sake of argument. I said, Mike, okay, I'm going to raise your number to 10%. Let's just say that we raise that number to 10% of the people who come to this country illegally are bad people and heinous people. When you divide that 10% evenly across the country, statistically still the likelihood of somebody committing a crime against you in most crime categories is that it's going to be somebody that looks like you. You see what I'm saying? If you distribute all the bad people coming in from Mexico across the country, statistically, you are still in more danger from somebody who looks like you than one of these people who cross into the country illegally. So what is the true basis of your argument? And y'all, I am one of those people who we crack our jokes, we even crack our racist jokes, and we play on racist stereotypes. But I do want to believe that most people are fundamentally good. I'll take it a step further and say, in my heart, I really want to believe that most white people fundamentally are not racist. I want to believe that. I'm not saying that I do, but I want to. But it's conversations like this that kind of make me like, what is truly the root of your concern? And let me give you the profile of this man. Mom and dad have owned bars and restaurants since the late 50s, early 60s. Okay, there are pictures on the wall of Sammy Davis Jr. and the Rat Pack in these establishments. So we're talking about multi-generations of business and wealth being passed down to Mike. At the end of the day, what's going on with immigrants does not affect him one way or another. If anything, since he says jobs is one of his concerns, it might even help him in the sense that most people in the bar and restaurant club industry pay people under the table lower wages than they'd be forced to have to pay Americans. You know what I'm saying? So I'm digging deeper, trying to really understand what the crux of his argument was. And something that I want to point out as we talk about labor. Free labor is the cornerstone of this country. All right. It started with slavery, and slavery never ended. It just shifted. OK, people are still being enslaved by America right now. It just ain't stolen black Africans. It's all those people in all those third world countries that we outsource work to and pay these people 13 cents to then in return import the product back in the United States and sell it for $90 and $80 a bucket. That is slavery. I don't give a good goddamn how you want to word it. You can call it foreign trade. You can call it smart business. You can call it capitalism at its finest. That shit is slavery. All this sweatshop foolishness we got going on, it is slavery. America could not and would not be the great powerhouse of a country that it is had it not been for free labor, past, present, and future. Without it, this country would crumble. That is why we're so great. All this Fendi, Prada, Dolce & Gabbana, BCBG shit that we buy, all these computer products, just about everything that is of any value is made in another damn country for pennies on the dollar and is sold over here for 5,000 times the amount it took to produce it. Sounds like slavery to me. The shit shifted from the Carolinas and the Georgias and the Louisianas and went to the Thailands and the Chinas and the Indias. That's just how I see it. But again, going back to people being so concerned about things that don't directly or semi-indirectly affect them. Then there's the whole argument he said about, you know, I don't mind them coming into the country just as long as they come the right way. Well, to me, Mr. White Man, it sounds like you're trying to backpedal and pussy pop and not sound like a bigot. Again, whether they come in the right or the wrong way, what effect does it have on you? Right or wrong, they still need a job. Right or wrong, their kids still got to go to school. Right or wrong, they still need a place to stay. And as far as the argument about these folks sitting up on welfare and bleeding the welfare system dry and we have to clothe and feed them and offer them health care, my rebuttal to that is, what is it to you? Okay, I hate people who use this tax argument, especially middle-class Americans who use this, I don't want my tax dollars going to this, and my tax dollars shouldn't have to pay for this. Well, let me enlighten you, Miss Middle Class School Teacher Fish. Husband is a supervisor at the Waste Management Recycling Plant, okay? You and your husband's tax contribution to the federal government probably is barely enough to buy a fully loaded Honda Accord, okay? So we're talking about $35,000, $38,000 a year, baby. You ain't feeding nobody. You ain't clothing nobody, okay? You're barely contributing enough to the tax pool to get adequate stoplights and stop signs put one block up from your damn house. So what are you talking about, sir, ma'am? I hate when people act as if they can pinpoint the one direct cause or put a face on where all their tax dollars are going. Ma'am, you ain't contributing enough to feed no damn family. You barely making enough to feed your own. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And when you look at how our government wastes fucking money on so many other frivolous things, war, tax breaks to the rich, corporate tax cuts, all the loopholes that allow these companies to keep millions and trillions of dollars, then I don't want to hear about people on entitlement programs, welfare, Social Security, Medicaid, food stamps of the sort. That is such a small percentage of where our tax dollars go that we need to just erase that thought from our minds altogether. That is fixing entitlement programs and people taking advantage of entitlement programs really needs to be number 1,099 on every American's list of priorities of things that are fucked up with this damn country. If we tax the rich people appropriately, if we tax these corporations appropriately, I can assure you, in 1 year worth of tax collection, we could fix every goddamn problem that's financial based in this country and 60 other ones, okay? Moreover, it's just sad. And again, for most people, this border and immigration stuff does not affect you. I've already debunked your criminal crime argument. Somebody show me the statistics where people are getting slaughtered, murdered, or stolen, and it's disproportionately because of Mexicans or illegal immigrants. Please show me the numbers. But make sure when you pull the report, you also pull the report for those same crimes committed against people that look like you by people that look like you. Then tell me where the real domestic terror lies. And it's been proven, people, terror within our border is more likely to come from deranged white men. You see what I'm saying? People ask, because he brought up, we're taking all these people in from Muslim countries, so on and so forth. And that's what made me bring up my terror argument. Even with the influx of people coming in from Muslim countries, the bulk of the crime and the bulk of terror that is happening within the confines of the United States is coming from crazy white men. So what is the real fear? You need to be scared of the person in the damn grocery store in your small town in Illinois, and not the woman wearing the head wrap or the Mexican that's just trying to feed their family by picking plants in the strawberry field that Americans are too arrogant to do. And speaking of Americans being too arrogant, that was another one of my points. Illegals come into this country, they take under the table jobs, and they do the jobs that we Americans are too damn arrogant to do. Without them, a lot of industries would fold, in particularly farming. Now, listen, I can talk my big shit because I live in Atlanta and I live in Miami, and I'm not living in lower California, lower Louisiana, lower Texas, where we border, or where these people, the points of entry across the border. If anybody is going to complain about people crossing the border illegally, I would be willing to listen to the complaints from the people who it affects directly on a day-to-day basis. People who are living in those small rural towns, who can't get jobs or who have been pushed out of work because of these folks. But most of America is not directly impacted by this. So I'm just not understanding why people have such a bone of contention with this whole situation. Another thing that I want to point out, I've always wondered how it was possible that Hitler was able to convince an entire group of people how the Holocaust happened. And the Holocaust happened because Hitler was successful in convincing an entire group of people that every problem that they had in life was because of the Jews. And y'all, this is history repeating itself. Trump is pandering to lower class, uneducated white folks, fearful white folks, and everything in between, and are convincing them that everything wrong in their life is because of people who don't look like them. Those people over there. You're poor, you don't have a job, your Medicaid check is not what you wanted to be, your Social Security check is only $600. You know why? Because those people over there, we have to feed and clothe them, and it's taking food out of your mouth. That is what he's doing, y'all. And that is not factual, it is not correct, and it is an emotional appeal playing on the senses of uneducated and deprived people, desperate people, who are looking for an answer, who are so disenfranchised that those folks over there look like an applicable answer to all my strife and struggle. And it's not right. And moreover, I want to point out something. You can vote for whoever the hell you want to vote for. You can be a Republican, you can be a Democrat, you can support Trump. But there is a special place in hell for a bitch like you, Selena Johnson voice, for anybody who can support what this man has done in terms of dividing these families up and putting these kids in cages and holding cells, as far as I'm concerned. The images that we have seen on the media, and correct me if I'm wrong and correct me if I'm reaching, but they resemble concentration camps to me. Separating children from families, sending the boys over here, the girls over there, the grown people over there, and locking them into fenced cages or holding cells, holding units. That shit sounds like a concentration camp to me. And if you can't see that, it's because you're voluntarily choosing to be naive and you don't want to see it. And I'm sorry. You can support this man on every other policy that you want to, but if you support the physical act of what he is doing right now, the way he is doing it right now, for the sake of border control, then you're sick and you're twisted. And I am not saying that we don't need border control. While it's not an issue of mine, I recognize that overall it could be an issue for America. And yes, there needs to be rules and regulations, and things must be done in this country in order and in decency. But what I want us to do as Americans is prioritize our outrage, okay? And how much of this is truly a problem that it should be getting the dedication and attention from the government that it is getting right now, compared to some of the many other larger issues that are present right now. Like, this shit ain't right, y'all. It ain't right. Let me make sure I got all my other talking points out the way before I get out of here. Immigrants, criminals, believe free slave labor directly affecting them. Yeah, I think I hit all my talking points. But I want to know, what are y'all thoughts on this situation? You know, do you know anybody that this directly affects? Me growing up in Miami, I have a lot of friends who are children of immigrants. And I also have a lot of friends that came over here on a boat. And, you know, I do get, being that I am from Miami, how the influx of Cuban Americans changed the landscape of South Florida. It has significantly changed the landscape of South Florida for the good, both good and bad. And I'm open to Floridians talking about the influx of Cuban Americans because it directly affects them. I'm willing to hear the Texans and all those other people who are directly affected by it. But people in the rest of the country, if your taxpayer dollar argument is the best argument that you got, or security and them committing crimes is the best argument that you got, go find you something to do. And with that being said, y'all, I'm finna get in here and get the day started. If y'all like these early morning, late night, early morning talks, be sure to like and subscribe. But more importantly, let's be engaged. Drop down in the comments and tell me what you think about what I've said and about what's going on in this country right now as it relates to immigration. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. You know what? One other point I want to make. Why is it that white folks in particular seem to be so concerned about somebody taking something from them? Why do they feel as a collective that they've got such ownership and dominion over this country? Dear white people, as a person of color, I think it's all right that I speak on all persons of color behalf in saying we don't want to take anything from you. We just want our just due. We just want what is ours. You can keep everything that you got. We don't want it. But I think the subconscious problem that white folk need to figure out amongst white folk is this fear of things being taken away from them because they were garnered and captured either immorally or illegally. You see what I'm saying? And I think white folks as a collective know they are lucky to be able to float and have a lot of the things that they have, and that it was not garnered fairly. And because of that, I think that is a large part of their fear of things being taken away from them. Because I float through life, y'all, and I promise you, I have no worries about nothing I got, meaning opportunities, finances, the way I live, being taken away from me. Morally, my conscience is clear. I got it clean, baby. My name is Kanye. I ain't no puta. I keep my panty clean. And with that, I'm finna get out of here for real. But y'all ponder on that. Like, folks just want what's theirs. We don't want what you got. You good. You good. But don't block us from getting what's ours. That's all we saying. But the real gag is majority of what y'all have accumulated as a collective is simply because you've oppressed and suppressed so many other groups of people so you can garner what you did. Catch those T's. Anyway, Nessa girl, I'm finna get out of here. That crunked me up. I gotta do these other videos. I'll talk to you later. I'm finna hang up the phone for real this time. Bye.